Hello, my name is PhilileMkhize, and today we're going to discuss linear regression testing. Our agenda for today will look at introduction, definition of key concepts, data context, linear regression testing, conclusion, where I will cover important key takeaways, and I will open it up for questions. Linear regression. Linear regression calculates an equation that minimizes the distance between the fitted line and all of the data points. R squared. R squared is a statistical measure of how close the data are to be fitted regression line. R squared is always between 0 and 100%, where 0% indicates that the model explains none of the variability of the response data around its mean, and 100% explains that the model explains all the variability of the response data around its mean. The data set was generated using a SurveyMonkey asking 150 participants questions regarding their income, debt, savings, and other important personal finance factors. The data is a distillation of a full survey and it contains the following variables. Income. This is a self-reported income of the participant in US dollars. Debt. This is a self-reported debt of the participant in US dollars. Savings. This is a self-reported savings of the participant in US dollars. Stocks. This is a self-reported portfolio valuation of the participant in US dollars. We also looked at wallet, NUM cards, NUM credit cards, NUM defaults, and like comforts, which are the data points we are not going to cover in this regression test. The 3 regression tests we're going to cover in this presentation. First regression test is, can we predict an individual's debt, which will be our dependent variable, by knowing their income, which will be our independent variable? Second regression test, can we predict an individual's savings by knowing their income, where savings will be our dependent variable and income will be our independent variable? Third regression test, can we predict an individual's stocks by knowing their savings, where stocks will be our dependent variable and savings will be our independent variable. The regression test. First hypothesis test, the following regression was conducted, where null hypothesis was the regression coefficient is 0, and the alternative hypothesis was the regression coefficient is non-zero. A simple linear regression was conducted to determine whether we can predict an individual's debt by knowing their income. And we found that no significant regression was found. Second regression test. The second hypothesis test stated a null hypothesis that stated the regression coefficient is 0 and alternative regression coefficient is non-zero. A simple linear regression was conducted to determine whether we can predict individual savings by knowing their income. A statistically significant regression emerged, and thus the test rejected the null hypothesis and predicted that savings increases as income increases. Furthermore, the 95% CE does not contain 0 and hence lending support to the prediction. The third regression test. The following regression was conducted, where a null hypothesis stated the regression coefficient is 0 and the alternative hypothesis stated the regression coefficient is non-zero. A simple linear regression was conducted to determine whether we can predict an individual stock by knowing their savings. A statistically significant regression emerged. Thus, the test rejected the null hypothesis. Key takeaways. Linear regression calculates an equation that minimizes the distance between the fitted line and all other data points. And R squared is a statistical measure of how the data are to be fitted in the regression line. R squared is always between 0 and 100%. Thank you for watching. I will now open up for questions. Thank you for listening.